City News is brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation. Good evening, Rotorua. Tonight on City News, donations are flooding in from residents supporting the Salvation Army after their youth hall was burgled. The Tarawera Trail officially opens this weekend, and the Contact Tri-Series kicks off tomorrow with the Rotorua Half Ironman. Donations are flooding in from residents supporting the Salvation Army after a burglary at their youth hall on Old Taupo Road. They had a dozen boxes of donations stolen which had been ready for delivery to needy families. Captain Amanda Martin says a constant flow of donations has been delivered since the break-in.
We've tried to turn that negative into a positive for Rotorua because we don't want Rotorua seen as in that light. So we've just promoted that, Rotorua really is a very generous community and it stretches very widely because it's gone to the Waikato and overseas where donations have come from since the incident. So it's, raising the profile on Rotorua, and that's what we want to see. Yeah.
And Lakes DHB staff have been doing their bit for the needy, taking along donations to their Christmas barbecue earlier this week. Each year, staff celebrate Christmas with a barbecue held on the Rotorua Hospital site, with staff also donating an item or two of food for the Wairiki Women's Refuge food appeal. This year, Family Violence Intervention Program Coordinator Jenny Weston was on hand to help deliver the donated food to the refuge. The Tarawera Trail officially opens this weekend, making the favourite picnic and camping spot of Hotwater Beach now available to walkers and hikers. The collaborative project has taken over 9 years of negotiations and development, with 11 kilometres of trail from the Te Wairoa car park to Hotwater Beach now complete. In October this year, the trail was honoured by the gift of a carved wooden po, oho mairangi, by Tourism New Zealand and Te Puia. The Tarawera Trail is the first of the proposed network of trails involving DOC and Maori private landowners to connect the 14 Te Aroa lakes in the area. And in sport tonight, hundreds of triathletes are in town to take part in the Rotorua Half Ironman. The event is the first in the 7-race Contact Tri-Series, with racing combined for the first time with the popular Rotorua Half Ironman. And Northland's Sam Warriner will continue her triathlon comeback in tomorrow's event. The former world #1 is returning to the sport after taking time out to start a family, and she'll be racing as part of a sprint distance team. And to your weather now, and the forecast for tonight, it's okay. Chance of a shower, northerlies, an overnight low of 13. And a reminder that our weekend weather roundup is coming up straight after City News, thanks to the Met Service. For program listings and other info, or to upload your images, check out our website, that's tvrotorua.co.nz, and remember to check out our Facebook page, TV Rotorua. Still to come in tonight's program, we find out about a new pop-up gallery opening in the CBD. We take a look at how important volunteers are in our community and cover the Volunteers Day event organised by the RDC. And we catch up with Neighbourhood Support Manager Bruce Quidley and talk about ways to keep your property safe during the holidays.
Well, you may recognise the building behind me. It's the old Westpac building, and it's been closed for a number of months now, but this weekend it's going to be open to the locals for a pop-up art gallery. So we're going to head on the side and catch up with a few local artists. We'll find out what's exactly happening and the people behind the scenes. Well, joining me now is local artist Debbie Tyne. Thanks for joining us today, Debbie. Now, you've got 3 pieces here that are going to be at the pop-up art gallery. Just explain to us, what's the one behind us? Because it's very unique and very unusual.
This one, it's titled Communicato Ergo Sum, and it's a kind of a mockery in a way of Descartes' famous philosophical saying, I think, therefore I am, which is cogito ergo sum, and I've just sort of turned it around and called it I communicate, therefore I am, which, because I believe art should be about communication first and foremost before it does anything else.
Now, when something like this comes along into Rotorua, this is the second time they had a pop-up gallery. Do you jump on the opportunity to be able to showcase your work?
Yes, I never say no. In fact, even if I'm not invited, I might try and inveigle my way into exhibitions.
That's pretty amazing. What about this one down here?
And this is from just a little sort of a whakatauki, and it's the latter part of a whakatauki. It says my strength is collective strength. And it's really people just
is it on
kind
glass
of united.
Or is it plastic?
It's on perspex. It looks like glass, but it's perspex. It's lighter and easier for me to work on, and I paint on the back. And I've always loved painting on the back of perspex because it gives you, they're almost like licorice all sorts colours. It keeps the
nice.
opacity and the brightness of your paint.
Well, joining me now is the brains behind the scenes, Chris Curry and Lyndall Hermitage. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Now, this is one of the most iconic buildings we have in the city. How did you guys manage to get it and obviously put the art gallery in here?
Well, it came about from a meeting with Mike Steiner, Karen Hunt, Bridget Nelson and a few others who had the idea of we're trying to get some activity into the city, really. Some of the, there's a lot of empty buildings in Rotorua. This is one of the most beautiful of the empty buildings.
It is, yeah.
So, the thought was to turn it into a little gallery. And we were sort of enlisted to do that. In that that's sort of what we do, really. We live in the art scene. So, no, that's sort of how it happened. It's very exciting.
Now, the gallery opens this weekend, supported by Westpac, and it's all about, like you said, bringing vibrancy into the city. So how quickly did the word get out amongst the local artists?
We've only been working on it for just over 8 to 10 days, and a few phone calls around to the art community, word spread, and the enthusiasm was just marvellous. People totally keen to have a pop-up gallery to show their work, bring some vibrancy back into the centre of town, definitely see the reasons behind it and happy to be involved.
Now, obviously, right now there's a few artists walking in, bringing in some of their gear. That's pretty amazing, because we just look around the room and there's all sorts of different artwork here already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's great. It shows the diversity of Rotorua artists, really.
Yeah.
And there's going to be probably something like 100 works in here.
Yes.
So it's going to be a nice tight show. It's going to look good. It's going to have a wow factor. That's what we're hoping.
Well, that's what we're looking for, isn't it? The wow.
Absolutely.
Now, how long's the art gallery for, or how long is it open for?
It's about 6 weeks, I think, yes. I think perhaps finishing on the 24th of January is what I hear. Pop-up's sort of spontaneous, sort of go with the flow a little bit for a pop-up, but yes, so definitely till the 24th of January.
And that's every day?
No, not on a Monday. Otherwise, 10 to 4, Tuesday to Saturday.
Now, is there a cost for the public to come along and have a look?
No, absolutely
it's
not.
totally free.
Absolutely
That's even better.
not.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
No, we want people to come and enjoy the art.
More the better, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would there be an opportunity for the public to purchase any paintwork or any artwork that they like?
Most definitely. That's what we're wanting. We're wanting people to take them home and enjoy them, pretty much.
Yeah. So you guys excited? Because we're only a couple of days away, really, from opening.
Oh, totally.
It's always exciting.
These processes
it's
are
about
always
theatre.
great. Yes.
No, it's great.
Cool. Well, we're going to catch up with Bridget Nelson now. She's also that other lady behind the scenes. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you.
Well, joining me now is Bridget Nelson. She's the lady in charge of this amazing project. Thanks for joining us today, Bridget.
Thank you.
Always good to catch up with you.
Thank you.
Now, so where did the idea come from? Because as we've noticed, there's artists popping in and out for the half an hour that we've been here.
Yes.
And they're pretty excited. So where did the idea come from?
It was really a collaborative concept that was developed with the Inner City Focus Group, and with the success of Scrub Rotorua Day and the pop-up gallery at 1245 Tutanakai Street, a group of people, including Chris Curry and Lyndall Hermitage, we all came together and decided to open it up for all local artists to enjoy the space. And the benefit of having the gallery is that it adds vibrancy and life to the city and foot traffic for all those visitors that come over the Christmas period. And hopefully somebody may see the building and decide to take it on as a gallery.
Yeah, it's a fantastic building, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an absolutely stunning building, so it's great.
Now, if this is successful, is that something that we might see again in the future?
Well, they could pop up anywhere.
All right, Bridget, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
very important in our community, and here at Parkside we've been celebrating the volunteers. It's Volunteers Day, the 5th of December, and with me from the Rotorua Energy Charitable Trust is Alison Perrin. Thanks for joining us today, Alison.
Hi.
Now, you're a woman of many hats,
Oh.
and so for today, for Valentine's Day and the celebration, what are you here for?
I'm part of the Energy Charitable Trust, which sponsored this event. So Carol from the Rotorua District Council and myself have been just facilitating a discussion and an opportunity for volunteers to get together.
Now, there's been a good turnout because there's people from varied countries, there's lots of different ages.
Yeah, no, we had about 55 or up to 60, I think, and all different ages, nationalities, and all sorts of organisations from sport to the arts to not-for-profits, so we're really pleased.
Yeah, there's St Chad's and the obviously the Trust, neighbourhood support, so definitely lots of groups in there.
Really good variety of groups actually.
So what sort of things were you covering? Because we know, like I said in the intro, that volunteers are very important in our community. So what sort of things were you talking about?
We were talking about how it was called the 3 R's. So it was recruiting, retraining and retiring volunteers, which was sort of a bit of a something that we hadn't thought about much before, and we couldn't find much literature about it, but with the ageing population of volunteers, it's something that groups and volunteers themselves need to look at. Maybe they're, it's getting too hard, or there's different demands that they can't fill. So they discussed questions, we made up questions, and everybody discussed the questions and were able to put in their expertise and their skills, because they're the ones that have got the skills.
So how important, Alison, is the volunteering in our community, and how does it look on our CVs?
It's huge, absolutely huge. I mean, if all the volunteers in Rotorua, which at this stage we think, from the last census, not the one just gone but the one before, might be, say, 15,000 people in town, if they all stop work, I mean, the community would ground to a halt.
We heard from Graham Hall, and he said one of the volunteers, Murray, he's been volunteering for 65 years. That's amazing.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, and that was part of why we wanted people like him to be involved, so that they could tell us why they're still there, what makes them want to volunteer, what keeps them there, all that sort of thing. So,
Now, also just come out as the volunteering guide, and you've got one in your hand there. So what's in that? Is it information for people to learn how to get into volunteering? Is it just gives them information about what to do?
It's specifically for people, migrants. So people from other nationalities who have settled in Rotorua who don't often have a concept of volunteering, and so it helps them. It tells them what sort of organisations there are that they can volunteer for, what's expected of a volunteer, all those sorts of things. So it's a really helpful guide,
Right, Alison, appreciate your time now. I know everybody's in there having lunch, so we'll let you get to it. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, joining me now from Volunteer Rotorua is Rob Beckett. Thanks for joining us today, Rob. Now, what's Volunteer Rotorua? Is it an organisation here in town that looks after volunteers, or does it go out and look for volunteers? How does it work?
We're actually one of about 18 or 19 volunteer centres throughout New Zealand, and Volunteer Rotorua we've been setting up for the last 18 months. So we're going to have our official opening on Monday the 20th of January next year. And what we actually do as part of our business is that organisations come to us and say, look, we need volunteers for this event or that event or whatever.
So you're a bit of a middleman.
That's right. So we match the person's skill set with the skill set that is required by that organisation who wants volunteers.
Is there a particular age group or a particular ethnic group that maybe you need some more of those volunteers come into organisation that you can send out?
Well, there's 4 sort of sections that we're looking at. One is families as volunteers, people with disabilities as volunteers, youth, and also what we call our baby boomers. We'll be calling them boomers. So those are the 4 groups, but also with that migrant group or anybody outside of Rotorua comes to live in Rotorua, and that's our newcomers group, so they will want to volunteer as well.
Let's talk about the volunteers with disabilities, because that's quite interesting. Is it to help those people be integrated into the society and things like that as well?
That's right, because you'll see that people with disabilities are normally those who are recipients of volunteers. However, we want to change it around so that the people with disabilities become volunteers, so they assist in our community, and it also helps in their self-esteem and also being an inclusive community.
And we just caught up with Alison Perrin, and she mentioned that there's approximately 12,000 volunteers in Rotorua, but we think that might be a bit shy because there's church groups and people that work in marae. Those groups aren't counted in there. So do you think it's about 12,000, or do you think it's more?
Oh, it's lots more. We've got an untapped volunteer workforce out there. If you have a look at it in sports, recreation and leisure as well, well. How many of those parents who actually coach their kids through different sports, or you get the parent who's on the who works at the school as a volunteer. So there's a whole host of people out there who are volunteering but aren't included in those statistics.
Yeah. Now, during the seminar, you mentioned the Can Do It campaign. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, well, we've got a Can Do volunteering group. They meet at the Te Whare Hauora Nongataha every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12. And what we're looking at is opportunities for people with disabilities to be included in the community as volunteers.
That's awesome. Right, Rob, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Wasn't it great to see so many different groups volunteering their time in our community? Now, coming up, we're going to catch up with a gentleman who assigns volunteers out into the community, and also we're going to meet New Zealand's longest serving volunteer. Well, some of the busiest volunteers in our community is Neighbourhood Support, and with me today is Bruce Quigley from Neighbourhood Support. Thanks for joining us today, Bruce. Now, obviously, Volunteers Day is always important to celebrate the volunteers in our community. How many volunteers do you guys have with Neighbourhood Support?
Well, each group that we have has a volunteer street contact person, and there are 526 of them at present. Wow. On top of that, about 200 of them have deputies, and then we have a team of about 20 volunteers that we call on to do the newsletter.
Wow, that's a huge amount of people from the community, so yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great number, and we truly appreciate every one of them for what they do, whether that's in their street, looking after their groups, or whether they're coming in to help us with the various tasks that we give them.
Do you have any idea in real terms how many hours these people put in each year?
Oh, that would be a big one. The ones who do our newsletter, it's only once every 2 months, but it depends on the group as to how often the people are doing work. They do deliveries of the newsletters, they collate the details of the people in the group, and they keep a watch out for what's going on. So it varies. It'll go into the hundreds and most probably thousands of hours.
Yeah. Now we've got all these Christmas trees around us, and it's obviously coming up to Christmas and the holidays and people heading away. What's some advice you can give people, and maybe even letting their neighbours know that they're heading away and things like that?
It's very basic advice, is whether you're going away or not, is home security. Ensuring windows are closed and secured, doors are locked and secured, garages are closed and secured, garden sheds are closed and secured, and you don't leave valuable equipment out in the backyard. When you go away, you should be notifying a trusted person, hopefully a neighbour, that you are going away and how long you're going to be away for. They can clear their letterboxes of junk mail. You can stop newspapers coming, but you don't stop the junk mail that comes through. And that's a sign for an offender that a house isn't occupied with a build-up of junk mail. So we need to have people having trusted neighbours. In neighbourhood support groups, they'd have them, and they ensure that their neighbours are informed when they're going away, so that if they see something going wrong, they'll do something. They'll ring the police, and the offenders will be caught. Another aspect of it too is that when you go away, that you let somebody know your contact number, so if there's something does go wrong, you can be contacted.
It's all pretty common sense, really, isn't it, Bruce?
Yes, it is.
Now, one of the things that the police and the council have been talking about recently is the lowered crime rates, which is great. Do you notice it in your job?
It varies greatly, but overall in the last year I have seen a drop-off. But there is still room for a great improvement. I've done an analysis of the burglaries, in particular in residential areas. About 40% of them are due to insecure homes. Windows open, doors unlocked, equipment left in backyards. So those figures can be even greatly decreased to what they are now.
All right, Bruce, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, my next guest is with me. He's been volunteering for 65 years, which I think is absolutely amazing. Murray Forster, thanks for joining us today, Murray.
Hey.
Now, thanks for joining us today, Murray. Now, when I heard that you've been a volunteer for 65 years, I was absolutely amazed. So, what sort of things have you done over your career as a volunteer?
Well, it started back in 1948, just after I got married, and my wife set some fat on fire in the stove during the day. She yelled out to the next door neighbour, who called the fire brigade, And down they came. It was a volunteer fire brigade, and that night I got a visit from every member in the brigade saying how short of people they were. So I joined the brigade.
So you got recruited that day. And why have you been going for so long? Because 65 years is a long time to volunteer your time.
Well, I've done a lot of things because I've shifted around quite a bit. But everywhere I go, I seem to have got hooked up. Went to Weymouth, and I was on various committees down there, Sea Scouts, or Ratepayers Association. Yeah, we had a boat race actually. I had to organise that at one stage.
Yeah. So on days like this when we celebrate volunteers, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel pretty special?
Not really.
Not really?
I do appreciate being appreciated, but it's not the end of the world, you know.
What about now? What are you doing now to volunteer?
Well, the only thing I'm doing now is at the community police station. I just sit there and take messages or do nothing, depending on what anybody wants. The main thing there is to be seen.
Yeah.
And whether you do anything on your shift or not, well, it's just the lap of the gods, that's all.
Well, we appreciate you in our community, Murray, because without people like you, we'd be missing out. Sports teams would be missing out, and like you said, the policing community scene would be missing out. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Don't forget, if your organisation or community group has a news event that TV Rotorua can support, you can call the channel and talk with one of our team here on 07 3488984, or of course email us at news@tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for watching tonight and having us at your place. Have a safe weekend. Come on.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News was brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.